I'm Katie.
And I'm Sam.
And we're at Halfling Ever After. Today we're going to talk about using cloth in place of paper products. There are several reasons why you might want to use cloth in place of paper products to lessen your environmental impact, to tighten your budget, for comfort, to minimize the chemicals coming in and near your body. So there are several ways you can use cloth around the house in place of paper products. The most familiar ones are using cloth napkins, cloth paper towels,
handkerchiefs,
diapers, but you can also use cloth in place of menstrual pads and in place of toilet paper. And this is where you might be like, ew. For both pads and toilet paper, the first time I heard about it, I was like, you gotta be kidding. There's no way I'm doing that. And then as the idea got a little less new, I thought, oh, there's some reasons to do that. And as it kept percolating, after a while it didn't seem quite so gross and I was willing to give it a try, and then I found out that I really liked it. There is an environmental impact to washing your cloth, of course. However, it is far less than the environmental impact of using paper, which not only includes the resources used to make the product, but also the byproduct waste, and then wherever that product sits, so either in your septic system or in a landfill. Cloth menstrual pads. Sam is not here because he's feeding the baby, not because cloth menstrual pads gross him out. He is a supporter of cloth menstrual pads. When I first heard about cloth menstrual pads, it was the year 2000. I was in grad school and a friend said to me, hey, I'm making some cloth pads. You want to come over? And I thought, why on earth would you use cloth pads? And then she told me a little bit about them and I thought, yeah, I'll come and see what you're up to. I'm not going to use them, but that sounds interesting. And then she showed me her little setup and I made one, and it actually was not a good design for a cloth pad, but it did get me thinking about it. And I did a little bit of research, and I'll let you do your own research about what goes into making a sanitary pad or a tampon. Our skin is permeable, and it's particularly permeable down there. I don't want chemicals down there, and I certainly don't want them there when my daughter starts using feminine products. It didn't take too long for the idea to get a little less icky, and then I thought, why not? Why not try this? So back then, there weren't a lot of options available commercially. Glad Rags was the place to go. And so this is my original Glad Rags pad, which is basically just same kind of wing shape as a winged maxi pad with an insert that you put in there to give it some extra absorbency. This is just cotton flannel. No additional materials, and then you can put more inserts in to make it work for your flow. One of my inserts is coming apart, and so you can kind of see the insert had a more absorbent material covered by the cotton flannel. I'm actually not sure what it is. It feels like a towel in there. So there's a couple layers in the insert, and so you could put a whole bunch in there. I've been asked if the cloth pads are bulky. It depends on which ones you're using. These actually were not any more bulky than the maxi pad that you would, a disposable maxi pad that you would buy at the store. You can see it snaps around. I really like, I would always get the kind with the wings. I like it to go around the underwear. I don't want it to be moving up and down and leaking. Leaking is more a mess than an embarrassment for me. I mean, menstruating is something women do. I don't want to be embarrassed by it or grossed out by it, but I also don't want it to make a mess because I don't like having my stuff stained. So I do like to have them, my underwear protected. There are some other materials in menstrual pads to make them a little more absorbent. So for example, this is one, and I don't remember, there's not a tag on it, but this one has, I think it's called Zorb. It has a liner inside that makes it extra absorbent. So you could actually wear this as like a panty liner, a pretty large panty liner. And then it also has a place for inserts. I think this one you were meant to just take a piece of very soft, this is very soft, cotton flannel and stuff it in there to make it more absorbable. This kind of pocket design is how menstrual pads used to be made when I first started using them. Now, more and more small business owners, generally work-at-home moms, make their own menstrual pads and cloth diapers, and so you can get them from a small business, which I really like to support small businesses, especially work-at-home moms. Now I buy my pads from a woman. Her business is called Lady Bits. You can find her on Facebook, and she makes a cloth pad that is pretty big. This is a bulky pad, but ever since I started having babies, things have changed. I'm still the same person, but I'm not the same woman. My anatomy has changed. The hormones have altered parts of me. My brain's a little different, and the way I menstruate is different. And so those little Glad rags are not quite what I need. I need something a little stronger. So what she makes is a pad, still not that much bulkier than like one of the more heavy-duty maxi pads, but it's got a nice shape that fits well over underwear, and then you snap it, and I like that it's got a little extra material here, so that eliminates the leaking that would sometimes happen if you were sitting for a long time or sleeping. And it does that Zorb stuff that was in the pocket one that I showed you, there's a layer of that in this. So this is a heavy duty, I do not leak ever using this. And it's a long one, but I like the longer one. She also makes panty liners and shorter, a light flow, a medium flow. There's a lot of options. I don't wear tight pants. I don't play sports. I don't swim regularly. Don't judge me. I don't need to have a discreet solution when I'm on my period. I just wear a little looser pants, and it really doesn't matter. For people who need more discreet options, there are alternatives to using a tampon, including the Diva Cup. People I know and love the Diva Cup, so that is an option to take a look at. Sometimes you might need to use a disposable product, and that's okay. If you would like to use cloth, you could start with using them during those spotting days at the beginning and at the end. You can try them on your lighter flow days. The woman that I buy from, Lady Bits, she does make postpartum pads. Many places do. These are huge. These are like 15 inches long. They're ginormous. I love them, and they did work for my postpartum. They're big. You can also see that they're adorable. This woman, you get to pick all the different fabrics, and then she makes them for you. So there's adorable stuff. They're very pretty and huge. So these are good nighttime solutions. I really love using cloth pads. It's pretty simple to wash the cloth pads right now because we use cloth diapers anyways, and I just put them into the wet bag. Otherwise, you can wash them in cold just like you would anything else that was covered in blood. And then you can wash them in hot if you feel the need to. If you're out and about, you do need to carry around a little wet bag. I have a number of wet bags because we use a number of cloth products. They do have small ones So you can just keep it in your purse and then put it into the laundry when you get home. This is a pretty big one because it's meant for diapers. It's a lined bag, attractive, and it's got a big pocket for used cloth, and then this is a wet dry bag. It's got a pocket here for dry items, so you can have unused in there, and then when you're done with something, when you're out and about, you put it into the larger pocket, zip it up, and that way there's nothing touching anything that it's not supposed to. Cloth pads are soft, they're comfortable, they snap around your underwear so there's no riding up and down. Generally, they are more absorbent. To me, they're a lot better than using the disposable pad. Thanks for joining us.